Hello, dear friends. My name is Michaela. Welcome to my astrology channel, Todayenergy. This video will be dedicated to our greatest benefic, the largest planet in our solar system, and that is our beloved Jupiter. After we received a whole year Jupiter's blessings in his own preferred loved sign, in his home sign of Pisces, it's time for Jupiter to move on to the next sign of Aries. Jupiter enters Aries on the 11th of May this year, 2022, and will reach 8 degrees and 43 minutes of Aries. On the 29th of July this year, Jupiter at this degree turns retrograde, so goes back the same way and goes back into Pisces on the 28th of October. So the first taste of this great planet, Jupiter, in Aries will be for about 4 months and a half, from 11th of May till the 28th of October. So very lucky will be the areas who have the sun, the moon, the rising sign, or if you have any other planet in Aries. And for the matter of fact as well, in the other two fire signs, and that is Leo or Sagittarius, up to 9th degree. Lucky you are, because not only now you will experience the blessings and expansion and hope, faith and optimism of Jupiter on your natal planets or points. Maybe you have MC in one of these signs, in one of these degrees, but Jupiter will be rolling on these planets and points of yours, not once, not twice, but whole 3 times. So you have 3 chances to catch your luck and get your benefits. I have prepared today several cards from the Symbolon card deck, and it's kind of like an oracle, but it explores really astrological combinations, usually of planets and signs. And this is how Jupiter itself is represented, because Jupiter is the planet of wisdom, of faith, of justice. We all know that it's like the Santa Claus of the horoscope, and that Jupiter is willingly giving us many blessings and many opportunities. Depends in which sign it is transiting, but traditionally Jupiter is the planet of as well government, the ruling elite, the stars, the celebrities, and the leaders of the organized religion, the church, because Jupiter holds the worldview, the morality, and our principles and our faith. This is another representation that I like very much about Jupiter. This is in a more kind of mundane level, what people usually expect from this planet to pour on us. It's many, many blessings, like rain of riches and good faith and good luck. Then Jupiter, of course, will return again into Aries. That will happen on the 21st of December, 2022. So it's going to be something like a big Christmas present again for the fire signs, and especially people who have sun, moon, ascendant, MC, or other planets and points at the first degrees of Aries. And then Jupiter will transit the whole sign up until 18th of May 2023, when it continues further its way. You know that Aries is the very first sign of the 12 zodiac signs. You know that we astrologers love and celebrate the spring spring equinox, because it's the day when the sun enters into Aries and thus starts the new year, the new astrological year, the new life cycle. So now with Jupiter as well entering Aries, we can say that a new cycle for Jupiterian topics starts. It will last for 12 years because Jupiter overall spends in one sign, counting the retrogradation, going back and forward, 12 months. 12 months, so 1 year per sign. That's why it's great to know about its transits and catch the chances and the benefits. So what does Jupiter represent? Well, definitely being the largest planet in the solar system, Jupiter is about growth and expansion. Mostly it's about personal growth. Of course, Jupiter represents and brings us abundance, luck, faith, and hope. Most of all, faith in ourselves, in this case, in Aries above all. It's great because Jupiter brings growth, development, and expansion. Enthusiasm, optimism, freedom. Jupiter demands freedom, just like another planet famous with its love for freedom, and that's Uranus. Jupiter needs space, right? So Jupiter also it's about adventures. It's about traveling, learning, education. Is the benefactor and the ruler of all teachers, professors, university students, doctors of science, let's say PhD, people who do philosophy, people who do legislation, who work in the law environment. Nowadays, Jupiter rules politicians, the elites, the celebrities, the stars, the famous people, but as well the spiritual as well as political leaders. Gurus, definitely, gurus. And as you saw on the card as well, Jupiter is like the Pope or just the leader of the church. All writers and people who publish something, because Jupiter is about fame, wisdom, and popularity. Jupiter being a planet of knowledge, it's also about sharing your knowledge, sharing your worldview, constantly expanding, either through learning, studying, reading, or through traveling and experiences. And that's also going to be very important for this particular transit. Now, coming to significance of Aries. Being the very first sign of the zodiac is like a baby being born. This is the very young, fiery energy. Aries is a cardinal fire sign. Cardinal signs are about pioneering, about being courageous and brave, unapologetic, just like babies. You know, they still didn't learn to be ashamed, to well behave, let's say, and to adapt to other people's needs. They know their own needs, right? So Aries is about this pure faith in yourself, courage, desire to explore. So here we have the match, right, between Jupiter and Aries. It's about brave exploration of new territories. Of course, Aries talks about having this faith in yourself, self-confidence, independence, and self-sufficiency, very importantly. Aries talks about ambitions and having this initiative, right? Be ready to act, not needing anyone's approval or push. You are the one who is self-motivated when you have a lot of Aries energy. It's about being even independent worker, entrepreneurship and freelancing. There is this saying that fate supports the brave ones, right? And luck goes to the ones who are proactive. So with Jupiter transiting Aries, that's going to be extremely important for us to believe in our own talents and capabilities. And it's also important to try, even though you will fall. Just like, remember again, the toddlers, the very young children, how they learn to walk. They just try and fall. Yeah, the trial and error, as we say. So that's going to be the trick as well with Jupiter in Aries. Because while Jupiter was in Pisces, even I have videos about it, I was more advising us all, and I was including in this state of dreams, of meditation, of prayers, of visualization, of working with the subtle Piscean energies, because it's all about faith and about this invisible connection to God, to the divine, to the universe. So you could really imagine what you want to achieve and manifest it, right? This was Jupiter in Pisces, was the unconditional faith and love, and kind of faith that everything is gonna happen for your own best, even if you just lie down and just dream, right? But in Aries, it's a completely different story, because we have to act. Action and courage, I would say, are the main words here. It's time to go for it. Yeah, know what you want first of all. So that's truly important. So probably while Jupiter was in Pisces, we were meant to go more within. It was more like feminine, yin, soft energy, about the internal yearnings and dreams. But now Aries is very masculine, very directed outwardly energy. So a lot of bravery and courage. Of course, undoubtedly, Aries represents the ego, and Jupiter expands everything it touches. So yeah, we have to be a little bit conscious, not to become, let's say, too arrogant and be too hot-headed, right? Because Aries rules the head, and Aries rules the temperature and heat and blood. So really, by the way, while Jupiter transits Aries, we have to be careful with our blood pressure, I would say. And all these migraines and everything we have from too much thinking and too much stress, actually, right? But also we should be thoughtful while acting bravely and just advance. At the same time, not to hurt others, right? And it's about you believing in yourself, but not acting on expense of hurting someone else. Also, there might be this tendency to act first, think later. So again, keep this in mind, especially people with more planets and points and Aryan energy overall. We might be short-tempered for sure. We might explode very easily and on a very wide range. So kind of the anger has no limit. So we have to learn in a very healthy way to manage our impulses and our anger. And I say impulses because certainly many people, especially with more fire energy, will kind of have this idea that they're like gods, right? Because Jupiter can be very powerful and bring you exactly this realization. Hey, I can do it really, right? So, oh, I'm almost like almighty, and be very impulsive and act very spontaneously, which is sometimes not bad, but it's not always good for ourselves to be very extremely impatient. So it's still good to have some strategy of action, because Aries is like the soldier, right? But Jupiter can be the general. And generals are usually about some kind of long-term, I would say, strategy of how you exactly want to conquer your success. Who is the ruler of Aries? It's of course Mars. So while Jupiter transits Aries, he is like a guest in the home of Mars. So our host is Mars. So in order to see how Jupiter will behave in the house of Mars, we need to look through all these months. Where is Mars? How does Mars feel? First, we see that when Jupiter ingresses into Aries, Mars is still in Pisces. And that's a very interesting position, because Jupiter is in the house of Mars, and Mars is in the house ruled by, in the sign, ruled by Jupiter. In astrology, this is called mutual reception, and it's very nice. It's very beneficial for both planets, because both planets feel quite comfy. They know that they have switched homes for a while. That was like in one movie with Jet Law, with Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz, if I'm not wrong, and it was about two women who, for Christmas holidays only, switched their homes. One went from LA to England, and one came to LA from England. And actually, it was very happy time for both of them, because kind of at the beginning their life was a little mess, but then they met some new people. They realized that how exactly they would like to live their life, and so on. So that's kind of how Mars and Jupiter would feel at the beginning of this transit. That is the, let's say, the second half of May. So Jupiter can grant Mars a bit more focus, goal orientation. So what exactly do I want, right? Faith, hope, optimism, and some kind of dignity. Because remember, Jupiter is about the higher elite, higher class. So like behave in a sense with dignity and nobility. While Mars can grant Jupiter some decisiveness, some energy, and I would say this kind of attitude of, okay, I think about it and I talk about it, I brag about it, so I will do it. Because Jupiter, and kind of in its rulership of Sagittarius and Pisces, sometimes Jupiter has this tendency to overextend himself, kind of believe honestly that he can do this and that and everything is possible. And sometimes it's just like a hot-aired balloon with really a lot of good wishes, but then he goes to some other projects, other ideas, and he would not finish what exactly he intended. So kind of that's a good combination of Aries and Jupiter for having a goal and really work for its achievement, not cut corners. I would say that because this mutual reception between Mars and Jupiter, so we kind of have a blend of the energies of Pisces and Aries, and it's kind of a difficult blend in a sense, right? Because we talk about feminine and masculine energy, we talk about Pisces being the last sign of the horoscope, so it's kind of closures and endings and seclusion and quietness, dreams, prayers, and then Aries, which is like this new moon, which is the spring, which is the passion. But still, the mix for me, the mix is of a peacemaker, because Aries can be about war, but Pisces is about healing and is about peace. So maybe we're talking here about some, if we talk about a little bit of mundane astrology for world events, maybe second half of May, we're talking about more medical help for the battlefields, for countries which are in conflict like Ukraine. Maybe there will be some peacemaking mission sent by some international organization to Ukraine, for example. There might be some more and more wave of artists for peace, celebrity stars playing concerts for donations, for charity, for peace, right? Because Jupiter is like the celebrities, and large public, large crowds, and Mars has something related to warfare. But in this case, Mars in Pisces, it's more about praying for peace and healing the wounds. Maybe there will be some artistic exhibitions dedicated to warfare tools, in a sense. Maybe someone will take old weapons or old tanks and make some interesting art piece out of it. Again, we are because we have to mix the faith and the war, in a sense. So maybe there will be some warrior style gurus, you know, or it might be religious leaders who try to save the world, who try to be proactive, and of course, while having the rhetorics against the war, still be kind of, well, on one hand, there might be this, in a sense, like the warrior monks, you know, of Shaolin, for instance, something like that. And definitely a lot of volunteer causes and charity campaigns I see here. Also some efforts, yeah, because Mars, it's about active efforts in the field of medicine. On the 25th of May, though, Mars, the host of Jupiter, is moving into Aries, his own sign. So here the situation becomes a bit more hot and even, I could say, explosive. In this, if before, while Mars was in the last degrees of Pisces, we could talk about international elite trying to solve the conflict through art, through peace, through diplomacy, through peacemaking. Now the lead are taking the generals, the warriors, the real fighters. Now this is the combination, while Mars is in Aries and Jupiter is in Aries, of high blood pressure, of expansion of fights, of, by the way, fire and expansion of fires around the world. And especially in the last week of May, when Jupiter and Mars conjunct, then we can see this kind of situation. The authors of symbol on cards represented here, Mars being in Sagittarius or Jupiter being in Aries, as the warrior for his faith and for his principles, the crusader, right? We can see as well expansion of military industry, production of weapons, unfortunately, and political elites might be involved into conflicts, as well as famous people, maybe even some philosophers doing some philosophical kind of publishing something philosophical about the topic of the war. As well, Jupiter, remember, rules higher education, so we might see more education, like people being kind of prepared for the war by NATO, for instance. Yeah, that's on the world scale. And maybe many political leaders who so far tried to be neutral would now be actively involved into some decision making regarding some warfare affairs. On the 6th of July, then, Mars goes into Taurus and the energy calms down because Taurus is an earth fixed sign. So Mars in Taurus is slower, it's more rooted, is more caring about the earth, about provisions. There might be these topics about, actually, there might be even some earthquakes, and especially around the 3rd of August, because on the 3rd of August, Mars in this calm and peaceful Taurus conjunct Uranus, the lord of lightnings and surprises and explosions, and the North Node, which is North Node is like the magnifying glass that expands everything, just like Jupiter, and that aims for the future and the progress and the material goodies as well. They will conjunct Mars, Uranus, and the North Node at 18 degrees of Taurus. So then we can expect some earthquakes or shaking of the financial structures, maybe shocking news about currency, cryptocurrency, about products, about nutrition, food, property as well. Maybe in the best case scenario, Mars will be the energy which we will introduce into restoring food supplies and people's properties. Then on the 22nd of August, Mars rushes into Gemini, when it will stay and even turn retrograde at the end of October. So here Mars will spend quite some time. And Mars in Gemini talks about very active, maybe even sometimes angry, but still communication. Still maybe some negotiation between people. And it can be as productive, right? Because Mars is the energy of achieving solid, tangible results. It's not about planning, it's not about talking, it's not about dreaming, it's about action. So a lot of verbal action, contract signing, traveling around. But be careful, for all of us to be careful, because it might be also aggressive rhetorics. While Mars in Gemini, we can expect development of some technologies, of medias, a lot of activity in medias, maybe even aggressive quarrels in the medias. And we can talk about quickness, swiftness related to vehicles, either production, maybe because Mars, it's about engineering. So maybe engineering, production of some special war, again, vehicles for war. Or just be careful with the speed when Mars is in Gemini. Again, depends which is the house of your natal chart, but it can talk about racing, really. I must say that while Jupiter transits Aries, people will be kind of prompted or feeling like it's their duty almost to fight for or to protect their principles, their faith, their ideals, their freedom, let's say, in a political form of democracy. just like the card I showed you. It was the Crusader. Just if we go back, the last time Jupiter was transiting Aries, that was in June to September 2010, and then January to June 2011. Okay, so 2010, 2011, and guess what? We had the Arab Spring back then. So those were the serious protests for democracy in the Middle East. And even remember that there were people who were, I think the word is self-incinerating. They were putting themselves on fire as the ultimate expression of their principles and their protest. They gave their life, and through what? Through fire. So here we have this Jupiter, which is my truth, and I have to share my vision for the world, and Aries, putting everything on fire. And besides that, if I just go back in history, just to prove how appropriate is this very metaphorical image, in the year 1096 to 1099, those years, European states organized the first crusades against the infidels. And so back then, again, Jupiter was in Aries. So that was this fighting monk, let's say, or people fighting for their faith, for their beliefs. Now, if we talk about your natal charts, the most brave, courageous, enthusiastic will feel, of course, the first 8 degrees of Aries and of Leo and Sagittarius. I would say that very energized will be as well the cardinal signs. So again, of course, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. But this spring, only the first 8 degrees. In 2023, don't worry, guys, you will, up to May, all the cardinal signs, one by one, you will feel the whole transit of Jupiter through the whole sign of Aries. But I would say, because it's the cross, right? All the cardinal signs, as all the modalities, they are in square to each other. So while Aries and the fire signs are pleasantly benefited with optimism, courage, and faith, then the cardinal signs must be a bit more careful not to become too egocentric, too impatient, too greedy, maybe like these little kids having this tantrum moments, I think it's called, when you want something and you hit with your leg and you're just crying there. Like a bit acting a bit spoiled. Also, another danger here, when Jupiter squares your natal positions, I have experienced actually one thing is not bad. You know, Jupiter generally it's a benefic planet, so it doesn't bring so much troubles as a square from Pluto or Saturn, for instance, or Mars. But sometimes it can bring you unreasonably huge optimism, like as if you are on some, I don't know what, even I never tried steroids in my life, but maybe, or it's like on caffeine. Okay, yes, this is what I will give as an example, because I like coffee, but maybe some people like this energizing drinks. So it's like when you have a lot of energy, but you're a little bit like frenetic and you just don't know what to do with it, and you're smiling even in the worst situations when you have to be like pious and a bit more calm. No, you're like overexcited, and this nervous overexcitement can happen when Jupiter squares some of your natal position. Another thing is that you can be like dogmatic, you know, and like a dictator almost, because it's like my truth is the only possible truth, and my beliefs must be heard and accepted and followed by everyone. So again, Jupiter would be like this teacher and guru and spreading the word, but he would be like a bit more aggressive and imposing power. And even I would say bullying. We must be careful with this kind of bullying by people who normally would be just great authority, wise, spiritual or political leaders. They can take a bit more of the aggressive stance during this transit. Again, there might be this tendency of Jupiter in Aries, if it squares some of your cardinal signs positions, that you would be like promising too much and not delivering. You would be starting something but not finishing, like quickly losing interest, or really being like insatiable in a sense, especially for information or for action. Okay, so also you can check which houses in your natal chart does Jupiter rule, and that is the houses where you have the cusp of them in Sagittarius or Pisces, because these topics of your life, these areas of your life will become much more active. You will become much more proactive regarding these topics. Let's say if it's your second house, so you will be much more ambitious and driven to make more money. If it's your ninth house, then it's going to be about studying, for example. But at the same, so first of all, yeah, you would be from inside more motivated and like super headstrong, going for it, seeing no obstacle, which is fantastic, right? And again, you will see more opportunities. And here it's not about just meditating and visualizing, but doing the action and seeing and grabbing the opportunities. Let's see. Yeah, I wrote here as well. Yeah, Jupiter can give a lot, can expand. By the way, prepare for it. It can be quite chaotic, quite hot, like really there might be temperament, arguments, especially let's say if it's your seventh house, there might be a lot of suitors suddenly chasing you, or of course, there might be someone from abroad, some foreigner coming to you. We will check in a moment the forecast for each separate sign. But yeah, my point is that it can be really a lot of something. It can be something from abroad, international, something prestigious, and you can get a lot of success in something related to the house through which Jupiter is transiting while in Aries, as well as the houses he rules. So we have to be brave and optimistic and positive. We have to be proactive. We have to share our worldview and vision bravely, be brave. Jupiter in Aries can be like this superhero who wants to conquer or save the world. And in the best case, it might be about just traveling the world, exploring the world, being the brave entrepreneur who goes for some new ideas. Again, you might, like, your ego might be too inflated. You might think you know the best of everyone. Just, be always smart, wise, and thoughtful to maybe check the risks, because by the way, Jupiter in Aries, it's a lot about risk taking, but it shouldn't be like blind, right? It's okay to fall and to stand up again. It's all experience. And while Jupiter is the teacher and learning, Aries likes empirical learning, touch it, do it, experiment, feel the consequences of your actions, and then see, okay, so this is not a good idea, so I'll try again, right? Because Jupiter in Aries doesn't listen much to other authorities. You are your best authority. So that's why it's very important to be wise and not to do, of course, some crazy, stupid, too risky and harmful experiments. Don't be bullied, don't allow to be bullied. Really be like the superhero for yourself, of your own, that you can be, proud of yourself. By the way, there will be a moment in which Jupiter will be close to and then conjuncting Chiron, who is the wounded healer, very wise energy. So it's about healing, repairing some traumas. So there might be either some news again from some battlefield that might be traumatic and hurting, or there might be, in a positive sense, some, I would say, war tribunal, like this international. Most probably Jupiter is about everything international, Aries about war, and Chiron might bring some compensations or putting on trial the people who are the bullies, the aggressors. It's better to do it, of course, through the juridical system and the power of law, rather than to be just like the medieval crusaders who are taking the justice in their own hand in the shape of a sword, right? So again, better to follow the Jupiterian symbol of the justice, truth, and abiding to the law. So it's good to ask yourself generally questions like, what do I fight for? What do I want to achieve? In which way I'm like unique? Yeah, because Aries is a very it's like the ego, and each personality, each ego, each child thinks that it's like the center, they're the center of the world, so they're like super unique. So you can think about this. Why do I deserve recognition, popularity, respect? Jupiter is about these things, and sometimes Jupiter in Aries can just fight for its respect in the world. What do I want to teach others with my own example? So this is great, not only to be like the theoretical teacher, but the very practical one, and hopefully to teach others with your best actions and best examples. So dear friends, now let's have a quick look at each zodiac sign separately. I base my forecasts on the rising signs, on your ascendant, but also you can listen to information for your sun sign and for your moon sign, because three of them together will give you the better, more in-depth overview of what you can expect from any astrological event. In this case, the Jupiter transit through Aries. Now remember the dates, I will remind you. First, it will be from 11th of May to 28th of October, 2022. Then from the 21st of December, 2022 to 18th of May, 2023. Okay, so overall 1 year. Now, of course, dear Aries, Jupiter goes through your first house. It's going to be a very lucky time. It's a transit that is boosting your confidence, your popularity, your desire and possibilities, chances to become successful. Some of you might become a teacher, finish a degree, prove yourself as an expert, as a leader, as a person to follow, not only as in a sense of kind of physical strength, or achievements, but your knowledge and your opinion. Of course, it's a great year or great months for personal growth, But be careful when we talk about growth. You might also be prone to gain weight, right? Because Jupiter expands everything, and first house is our body. First seventh house is an axis of relationships, so you might be very lucky in relationships. You might have a lot of suitors around you, or people with whom you would do business, for example. It's great for outward self-presentation. Generally, Aries don't have problem with showing themselves. Just try not to show off yourself too much, and not to just over-promise and over-brag. Definitely, you can make big progress. Have faith in yourself, be optimistic. You will attract the right people to you, the needed circumstances. You just have to grab the possibilities. Dear Taurus, for you, this is 12th house. And I think you might this month, from time to time, enjoy time on your own, whether cozy at home, reading a book, watching documentaries, or exploring the nature, or do some pilgrimage, let's say visit some monasteries or temples. 12th house is not only about isolation, but it's also about faraway travels and exotic lands. So you might go for such interesting trip, or you might meet people from different cultures. For you, of course, you might start some distance working, let's say from home, or you go to Bali and you work from there on your computer. You might emigrate, for sure. You might discover some hidden talents. You might meet guru, psychologist, spiritual leader that will help you in your personal spiritual growth and in your personal liberation, because 12th house is about our past and subconscious. So you might work with a therapist or do some regression or constellations, and maybe some hidden trauma can appear, so you can deal with it, accept it, release, and let go, all the proper psychological practices. 12th house is about ending, so Jupiter might give you courage to end something which is just a burden for you, instead of helping you grow. You can definitely learn a lot about yourself. Jupiter in the 12th house boosts your creativity. You can receive a lot of knowledge from spiritual activities, meditations, dreams, or regressions. I think Jupiter in the 12th house can give you this kind of light feeling and happiness without particularly knowing why you feel this way, but just feeling hopeful and optimistic overall. Dear Gemini, for you, this is your 11th house. And here Jupiter can expand your social circle, bring new, more friends into your life. You can become very popular, especially if you have some online blog or page or YouTube channel, internet business, because Jupiter is like a lot and it's very international. So you might become popular abroad. You might want to establish a circle of followers around you through your unique ideas, opinion. Maybe you're a teacher, maybe you will publish something. Don't be afraid, go for it, act, do it, and you will gain popularity, support. People will see you as the guru or as the professionalist. You might join some great club that you know, according to your interests. You will meet there like-minded people. You will feel very well accepted, very nice in this group. It might be, of course, some NGO or some political organization. Jupiter can bring you very respected, well-known people as friends, celebrities, maybe politicians, foreigners. It's great time to network, to create collaborations, expand your knowledge, expand your worldviews. And 11th house is about our hopes, dreams, and wishes and long-term goals. So first of all, some great news is that some hopes and wishes of yours can become reality, can manifest, especially if you are proactive and you act to achieve it, not just like think about it or talk about it or write it in your wish diary, but do something for it. And then, of course, Jupiter can help you establish some great goal for the future. Dear Cancer, for you, this transit will happen in your 10th house of your career and social status. Wow, how great. Of course, you can improve your professional condition. You can have upgrade on the social and career ladder. You might be very well recognized. You might receive some acknowledgements, some prize at work. You might become leader, a manager, company owner, a boss. You might become a minister or prime minister, just if you have the self-confidence and the faith. 10th house is about, it's very public area of our natal charts. So you need to be out there on the spotlight, under the limelights, to be visible. I mean, Jupiter will bless you if you are proactively chasing your and showing maybe your ambitions, as for career, as for success, glory, fame, social status. You need to show your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, your skills, because you have them. Before that, Jupiter was transiting your 9th house, where you gathered the information, when you learned what you had to learn, where you established the connections, maybe with some international companies, organizations, people, maybe with someone really influential and important, and now you can achieve a lot in your life. By the way, maybe last year you met, or this year still, you met someone who now will officialize your relationship as a second marriage. Because talking about 10th house and status, we are talking about getting engaged, getting married, relocate, buying a property, becoming a business owner, you know, stuff like this, that people start seeing us differently. Especially if you who listen to me is working in some international field or something related to education. You might become a professor, doctor, judge, lawyer. It's important just to take action, especially, by the way, for women. I would say Jupiter often symbolizes a husband, so there might be the first, second, third, whatever marriage, as well as becoming a parent and having children. Dear Leos, for you, Jupiter will transit this way your 9th house. So it's about knowledge or sharing your knowledge. It's about traveling. Maybe you'll have a lot of possibilities to travel, to explore the world, meet some international communities, cultures, getting acquainted with different interesting belief systems and change yours, expand your horizons, change your perspective, learn, publish. Maybe Jupiter will introduce you to the legal system and you'll have to pass some court trial. Maybe you'll have to deal with the government. Or maybe it's just really about taking a lot of courses, learning some new profession, going for a second degree, whatever it is, do it, because then after next year, Jupiter will be transiting your 10th house. So it's going to be about your career and status change. So now you have the chance to show yourself to the world, learn as much as you can, meet the right people. Now 9th house is about glory, it's about fame, popularity. So you might become such person. Just be proactive, be brave, be courageous to share your knowledge and to share your opinion. And you might either meet some idols and celebrities and experts, or you might become such. By the way, for some of you, Jupiter here might bring either children, grandchildren, or second marriage. Dear Virgos, for you, Jupiter transits your 8th house, which talks about passive incomes from either like family resources, husbands, finances, or partners' income, money you get from your investments, from the stock market, renting a property. This will be a possibility for you. You might simply get a loan from the bank. Maybe you're applying for scholarship or state support for your business. You will get it. It's just important to have faith in yourself and be proactive. 8th house is about deep personal transformations by overcoming crisis situations. So Jupiter might be like a guardian angel for you. You know, if you are passing some rough times, dear Virgos, if you have to deal with your emotions, with your psyche, Jupiter will bring you the right psychologist, therapist, maybe an expert in occult sciences, astrology, tarot, who will help you pass through this process of self-empowerment and letting go of some inner traumas, fears, pain, and so on. So kind of healing and self-healing. I would say also 8th house is about your deep, intimate relationships. So maybe the one relationship you currently have can either end, so you can let it go if it doesn't lead to any progress and has no development, or on the other hand, it might become this way that you suddenly buy a property together, or you decide that you will get married, or even decide that you will have a child, because 8th house is the house of matters of life and death. So, okay, of course, on one hand, Jupiter here can bring some inheritance. On the other hand, it can bring, let's say, a baby to someone, pregnancy. Dear Libras, for you, this transit happens in your 7th house. So either new relationships, either a lot of new people coming to your life, possibly some of them would be your lifelong dream partner, expanding the kind of your clientele if you work with clients, bringing you the right experts if you need advisors, let's say a therapist or legal advisor or a lawyer. And maybe you will meet foreigners, people from abroad, from different cultures. Of course, for the ones who are already in a relationship, Jupiter can bring kind of, how it's called, officialization, like your relationship becomes official through an engagement or wedding. Of course, if you have been suffering in a marriage, then Jupiter certainly will bring you freedom and liberation. You might make some very profitable, gainful deals and very beneficial agreements and contracts you might sign for you. Dear Scorpios, for you, this is your 6th house. It's about your work, health, and daily routine. So yeah, Jupiter here can bring you more work, let's say more clients or more work with the legal department, paperwork, documents. You might need to travel more for work. Foreign colleagues or employees, maybe you become, let's say, a manager, and suddenly you have a bigger team underneath you to manage. You might expand the working space, your office where you work. If we talk about diet, then be careful here, because Jupiter might expand your kilograms, your weight, your body, instead of putting it into like a strict diet. But on the other hand, maybe you will find some diet which is on the first look quite exotic. You never heard about it. Maybe it's going to be some doctor from abroad, let's say a doctor who is specialized in Ayurveda or acupuncture. So you will experience some new interesting way of treatments. At work, again, more opportunities, more clients, promotion, the right specialist, the right doctors, the right kind of like a guardian angel might come to you if you need a help with your daily routine responsibilities. Maybe you are taking care of someone, because sixth house is about working off our karma. And sometimes sixth house brings troubles, whether with health or with some relatives. So here Jupiter might be like protecting and helping you as well. Because sixth house talks about our pets. So you might take some larger, bigger pet for home. Dear Sagittarius, for you, this is your fifth house of love, business, and children, and creativity as well, pleasure from life. So Jupiter here will make you unstoppable regarding romantic experiences, dating, pleasure. Huge muse can visit you, and you will be extremely prolific at art and whatever you like to do as a hobby. It might be traveling, it might be studying something you really like. Maybe some of you will be very lucky with freelancing, teaching, your own business. Of course, for some of you, it might bring romantic partners. For others, it might be making your relationship official and taking it to the next level, like engagement. And definitely Jupiter here talks about getting pregnant and having children, or something fantastic happens in the life of your children. For some of you, if you have already a bit older children who are, let's say, in university, the great news can be that they finish their degree, they get their degree, or they start working, or they go abroad for some international study exchange. Dear Capricorns, for you, this transit happens in your fourth house. So we're talking about home and family. Of course, there can be growth and expanding in your family. So there might be children, or someone getting married, or you're moving in together, or you are moving into a larger home. So expansion, bigger, wider home, living space. Some of you may be moving abroad, relocating, maybe some foreigners come to live with you. Maybe you're dealing with some legal matters regarding property, or maybe there is some good news and growth and expansion in the life of your parents. For example, for some, maybe your dad or mom goes to pension, right, retires, and it's with a lot of honors and kind of respect and yeah, kind of, you know, sometimes people retire and they receive like 5 salaries at once or something like that. Dear Aquarius, for you, this transit happens in your third house. So it can bring a lot of social activity, because third house is about information, communication, studies, and travels and vehicle. There might be good news from your cousins, siblings, extended family, or neighbors. So maybe some foreigners are coming to live near you. Maybe you are moving your neighborhood, your location where you live, or you go to live in a more international environment, or you relocate to live abroad. A lot of meetings, a lot of communication, learning. Definitely, it's a great transit to enroll into some courses, improve your skills, teach and share your wisdom. Maybe opening, if you open a website or a blog or page in social medias, you will be extremely popular and successful. It's great for trading. It's great for writing, blogging, self-promotion. Jupiter will help you a lot, really bringing you popularity and definitely boosting your, if you have any small business. And dear Pisces, for you, this is your second house of finances, income, budget, movable property, our belongings, and our self-esteem. By the way, also our diet and body, how we feed ourselves and how we treat our bodies and take care of ourselves. So of course, Jupiter here, be careful, he might expand your weight, your body. So it's good to be thoughtful about your lifestyle and nutrition system. At the same time, Jupiter likes here pleasure, so you might become more foodie, like, you know, more kind of taste for better restaurants, or spoiling yourself a bit, which is great, and like massages, relax, pampering yourself, that's great. You might spend your money on that, or on something beautiful to buy for your home, maybe something prestigious. You will definitely like kind of the a more expensive range of jewels, of clothes, of perfumes, of the food as well, of furniture. On the other hand, that's the good news, that there will be money to spend on, because Jupiter will give you the possibility to expand, to increase your sources of income. So there might be more job, or there might be a better paid job, or the both together, which is great, right? Growth in career, promotions, better maybe sources of income, increase of possessions, definitely. And you see, it's important here to be self-sufficient. Yeah, work for your prosperity and abundance. Jupiter will definitely bring you some material abundance, as well as desire to spend it for your pleasure. And that's great. But also it can improve your inner sense of happiness and stability, the way you are and by who you are, with your talents, with your resources. So we're talking here about better improved self-esteem, but of course trying not to become extremely proud of yourself too much, or egotistical in a sense. So that was the forecast for all the 12 signs for the transit of Jupiter in Aries. Thank you for watching, sharing, liking this video, and subscribing to my channel. I wish you a great Jupiter in Aries transit. Grab your opportunities and be courageous. See you next time. Bye.